Alright, we officially have confirmation that Tiana's Bayou adventure will use a virtual queue when it opens at Disneyland. In fact, there will be a couple of different ways that you can experience this attraction. Hey, I'm theme park content creator David Vaughn, and I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know step by step for using the virtual queue to access this new attraction, as well as some really valuable tips to give you a little bit of a leg up over the others so that you can get in before everybody else. And don't worry, there aren't any spoilers in this video for the ride. I'm just going to show you the outside of it like this. So let's get right into these tips and what you need to know. So the first thing is what times and when you can access the virtual queue. So the virtual queue will open at 2 different times. Once at 7 a.m., which you can access from anywhere, including your hotel room or home. In order to access the 7 a.m. one, you will need a park reservation to Disneyland Park. If you're starting off at Disney California Adventure that day, you won't be able to access the first one. You'll need to access the 12 p.m. one. However, the 12 p.m. one has slightly different rules. At 12 p.m., you can only access once you've scanned into Disneyland Park or Disney California Adventure. So you'll need to be inside one of those 2 parks. If you have a park hopper and you start off at Disney California Adventure, that is your time. So if you're still in DCA, you can join there, or if you've hopped over to Disneyland, then you can join there as well. In addition, if you missed the 7 a.m. one for Disneyland Park, you can try again for the noon one. However, you cannot join both virtual queues in a single day. So let's get into virtual queues. Why does Disneyland use a virtual queue, and exactly what is it? So it is totally complimentary. In order to use a virtual queue, you just need the Disneyland app, which is also free to download. You'll need to download the Disneyland app before you go, and also create a Disneyland account, as well as link everybody's tickets in your account to the Disneyland app. Now, Disneyland seems to use a virtual queue as a placeholder instead of standing in line, and it works a lot better for newer attractions. So for example, in the past, when new attractions have opened at a Disney park, we have seen lines that last hours and hours and hours. Instead of you waiting in line that entire time, Disney says, hey, we're just gonna call you when it's your turn to go in the queue. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't wait some time in the queue, but it might only be like an hour versus 3 to 5 hours, depending on the time. I've also waited in virtual queues very short times, like just minutes versus what could be hours. It just depends on when you're going and how many people show up at that same time. There's lots of different factors. But just know you may be waiting in some type of queue once you've actually been called to go. So how do you join the virtual queue? So after you've downloaded the app, linked everybody's tickets to your account, go on, this is the home main screen page. Just scroll down a little until you see this virtual queue. You can actually see this now even before you go. So my recommendation is just a few minutes before your time to join the queue is. So if you're doing the 7 a.m. one, I would be like 6:55 a.m., open this page, go here and tap join virtual queue. A page similar to this should pop up, and then you'll be able to tap join virtual queue again. From here, you'll see a page very similar to this where you can confirm the number of people who you want to create the virtual group. So basically, the virtual queue group will be everybody in your party who wants to ride this attraction. That way, each individual person doesn't have to book on their own. And because these book up super quickly, trust me, you want one person booking for everybody. Also, I do want to note this. I personally recommend that only one person in your party actually books for everybody. And the reason that I recommend that is because in the past there have been errors when multiple accounts have been trying to access the same virtual queue for the same tickets. It's possible that that might not always be an issue. So some folks do disagree with me and say, no, have everybody try. But I've just seen some errors. So personally, I don't have multiple people try. So you'll go in here and you can push edit and you'll see a list of the folks who have reservations for the park that day. You can select as many as you want who are in your party. These are the tickets that are linked to your account. So if there's some people who don't want to ride, then you'll have to select them. But if everybody wants to ride, then just do that. But once you've confirmed everybody, this button will turn into like a refresh button, and then you can tap that refresh button as many times as you need to. My recommendation is right before it hits 7 a.m. or noon, tap, 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 tap on that until the refresh button loads. It will say join virtual queue. There may be one more screen, but just keep tapping until everything's confirmed. Just keep tapping until you finally get in. Now, these book up in like seconds. These book up so quickly. So what you need to know is a little tip to kind of get you ahead of the crowd. My recommendation is you can have another person open their phone to the website time.gov, and then you'll be on your phone, or whoever is booking, and they'll be looking on the Disneyland app on that page that says confirm everybody, and it will have the little refresh button at the bottom. So the reason that I use time.gov is it seems to be the exact time that Disneyland uses for its app as well. So even though this is the incorrect time, right when this turns 7 a.m. or noon will be also the exact same time that Disneyland's app will turn 7 a.m. or noon. So this does help because you can see down to the second when it's gonna turn. And my recommendation is like 2 seconds before, start tapping on that refresh button once you've confirmed your party. Keep tapping. This will change. You'll tap, go straight into the next screen. And if you got some luck on your side, you'll get a boarding group that day. And just a refresh, remember, your party will be confirmed here and you'll see a refresh button here, and that's where your tap. Now, if you don't want to bother with a virtual queue, there is another way that you can access Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and that's by using Lightning Lane Multipass. This is a product that helps you skip the bulk of the lines for many of the attractions inside Disneyland Park. I have an entire video on that, which I will link at the end of this page. So I won't go into too much about how that works, but if you have Lightning Lane Multipass or you didn't buy it yet, you can actually purchase once you get inside the park as well. But if you have it, then you can also book a Lightning Lane for Tiana's Bayou Adventure and get on the attraction that way. Just keep in mind that for a while, it's very possible we'll see both Lightning Lanes for Tiana's Bayou Adventure as well as a virtual queue book up very quickly, especially as we go into the holiday season. So you might want to get their app park open as soon as possible so that you can book your Lightning Lane, because you can't book a Lightning Lane before you get into the park. In addition, yes, you can hold a virtual queue for Tiana's Bayou Adventure as well as a Lightning Lane time slot. If you're wondering what time you'll be called for your virtual queue, it isn't really something you can know beforehand. You'll just get your boarding group when it's time to go, and then you can head to the attraction. My recommendation though is go on Tiana's Bayou Adventure as soon as it gets called. This is a newer attraction, and as we know about newer attractions, they tend to have technical difficulties. So if that happens, you don't want to miss out on riding the attraction in the event that, it does break down or something unforeseen happens. I also do want to note that Disneyland says the virtual queue is temporary, but they didn't give us an end date for it. Personally, I do expect the attraction to have a virtual queue through the end of 2024, and then sometime in 2025 we'll probably see it go away. That's just my guess though. But if you want to get updated about when Tiana's Bayou Adventure does get rid of the virtual queue and goes to a standard standby line, give me a subscribe and I will keep you posted on that. In addition, if you have any questions about accessing the virtual queue or anything else about Tiana's Bayou Adventure, go ahead and leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. Again, I'm theme park content creator David Vaughn. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up, it really does help me out. And again, think about subscribing if you want more Disneyland tips. Check out the other videos I'm about to link at the end of this one, and I will see you next time.